We have a lot of questions about The Matrix 4. Who on earth would the villain be? How are they going to write Neo back in? What about Trinity? What about the fact that Lawrence Fishburne isn't even going to be in the movie? These are big questions, and their answers will make or break the movie. Luckily, we here at The Binger and everyone else on the internet have been stuck inside with a lot of time on our hands. A lot of time to theorize. So we put on our tinfoil hats and combs the internet for the best, most plausible, and also most entertaining theories about the fourth installment of The Matrix. Here are the 5 best.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
The Matrix 4 will take place in the same universe as John Wick. Yeah, this sounds too good to be true, doesn't it? And maybe it is, but right now there are just way too many convenient coincidences stacking up to dismiss this theory offhand. Let's go through them one by one. First, obviously, both of these trilogies star Keanu Reeves as a chosen one who fights off hordes of enemies with his fists and bullets. A lot of bullets. Almost as obvious is the fact that this is the 4th John Wick movie as well as the 4th Matrix movie. Sure, that might not mean anything, but it is especially strange considering the fact that the last time a Matrix movie came out was in 2003, and all of a sudden, they decide to release the 4th one at the same time as the 4th John Wick movie? But at the same time is an understatement. Everyone knows that movie release dates are subject to change, especially when they're announced so far in advance. But even though they aren't set in stone, there's far too much money at stake when you're talking about movies like The Matrix and John Wick to be casual about when you want your movie to come out. Studios aren't just picking random days, they're calculating what day will allow them to make the most possible money. This calculation includes all sorts of stuff. What time of year is it? Is it summer when people are more likely to want some relief from the heat, which can be found conveniently in movie theaters? Is it around Christmas time when most people have time off and are looking for family activities that don't involve the possibility of bickering or arguments? Maybe most importantly, are there any competitors on the scene? Are there any other similar movies coming out around the same time that might lure away prospective ticket buyers? If you're an executive at Warner Brothers, you probably don't want to release Justice League on the same time that the newest Avengers movie is coming out. It's just common sense. John Wick and The Matrix are 2 such movies. They are remarkably similar. They have the same guys starring in both of them. They're both the 4th installment in a series. The director of John Wick was the stunt coordinator on The Matrix, and for some reason, the 2 movies are coming out on the exact same date, May 21st, 2021.
Bingo.
For all you doubters out there, let's run through the different possible motivations for this identical release date. There's the fact that it was an accident, an idea we've already shut down. It's unlikely at the very least. Then there's the possibility that the people behind the movies are hoping that they can piggyback off each other and build a Keanu fever.
Shout out to my boys, yeah, they up there in Canada. I used to live there till I moved to Atlanta, where the girls are so hot, yeah, the girls are fine too. Catching Bieber fever, forget the swine flu.
Maybe the people at Warner Bros. And Lionsgate are hoping that the news will be consumed by movies starring the inscrutable Canadian, boosting the ticket sales of both at the same time. Maybe. The more plausible explanation is one that goes straight to the top. Nowadays, in a post-MCU world, everyone loves an interconnected movie universe. DC has been trying to get in on the action. There's now a Jumanji-verse and a Fast and Furious-verse, which maybe when you put them together is actually a Dwayne Johnson-verse. Huh?
What?
The forthcoming James Bond movie looks like it's trying to get in on the action too. The studios are following the multiverse money. Combining John Wick and The Matrix would be the ultimate payday. Okay, so there's a financial incentive for these 2 movies to exist in the same universe. But how would the poor writers interweave the post-apocalyptic machine world of The Matrix with John Wick's international network of assassins? Our bet is on the following theory.
Okay, you have some skill.
In The Matrix, the world as we know know it is a simulation. Everyone lives in pods that harvest their energy for the machines who rule the world. The people in the pods are not aware of the disguising situation they're in because they're plugged into a situation of what the Wachowskis think is the peak of human civilization, the year 1999, and honestly, I'd agree based on the sunglasses alone. Anyway, if there's a 1999 simulation, why couldn't there also be a John Wick simulation? Neo, having burst into a supernova of white light at the end of Revolutions, is gonna have to be resurrected by the machines or somebody in Matrix 4, and it would be no fun just to bring him back into the same old simulation, nor would it be useful. So they could bring him back instead as an evil agent of the machines, whose sole purpose is to wipe out all of the awakened humans. So John Wick from the very start was a resurrected Neo. This would explain a lot. First of all, it would explain John Wick's near invincibility. Over the course of the 3 movies, he endures outrageous amounts of abuse from assassins of every shape and size. There are gun-toting motorcyclists, martial arts experts, and even the enormous Boban Marjanovic. No matter how many times John Wick gets hit in the head, stabbed, or even shot, he still keeps stumbling forward to the next fight. There's also just a general video gamey vibe to these movies. The way the enemies keep coming in huge groups, getting mowed down again and again like they're NPCs and not people, it seems more like Max Payne than anything. If this whole world was just a Matrix simulation, it would explain all of that. Maybe the simulations could even intertwine. If you're still not convinced of this theory by now, don't worry. We've still got one ace in the hole, the cherry on top that will prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. I present to you the ultimate proof.
Long live the king.
Okay, so we know that Neo is the one, but he's not the only one who's the one. There's more than 1, 2, or 3 ones. The One is a title that gets passed down, like the title of Slayer in Buffy. As one Redditor, Do You Think 0101, has argued, we've actually met other chosen ones in the trilogy, namely the Merovingian. We're told that he's a program, but the theory is that he's actually the former one who's found his way back into the Matrix. The Merovingian tells Neo that choices are not actually choices, that everything leading up to that point has already dictated it for you in a chain of cause and effect. That's him passing down the knowledge of what it's like to be the one, the burden, the responsibility that comes with the title.
So it is the only real truth. Causality. Action, reaction. Cause and effect.
As soon as you're dubbed the One, your future is set. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. There's only so much you can do to go against it. Regardless of whether you think it's the Merovingian or someone else, there's going to have to be another One. Who do you think it will be? Write who you think it will be in the comments below.
This will be the 6th time we have destroyed it, and we have become exceedingly efficient at it.
A hero story like The Matrix is about the hero, yes, but it's more about the villain, because they're always more interesting than the hero. If you don't believe me, just look at Batman and the Joker. Here I am. So if the new Matrix is gonna be any good, it's gonna need a good villain. And who better to be the villain than Neo himself? He's not really the underdog anymore, so it would be harder to root for him. Plus, there are lots of fan theories about Agent Smith actually being the former One who broke bad. But it doesn't absolutely have to be Neo who plays the villain. Some old villains could make an appearance. Maybe a villain from the John Wick franchise? Or maybe the villain has been right under our nose this whole time. That's right, the guy who claims to be Neo's mentor and the de facto leader of the resistance against the machines could actually be a machine himself. Just think about it.
Go into your orifices. Red pill, blue pill, Morpheus, Warrises.
All those wacky biblical and historical names in the Matrix movies, maybe they're actually giving us a hint. Morpheus is supposedly trying to save Zion. So, could Morpheus be secretly trying to tell us that he's a bad guy, that he's going to sabotage Zion in the end? You might be thinking, but wait, Lawrence Fishburne isn't even going to be in this movie, and that's a fair point, but both Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss are. It's more than possible that in the wake of Morpheus's betrayal, they could zip back in time to try and take out a young Morpheus, who could be played by another actor. Rumor has it that it could be Michael B. Jordan, and why not? As you may have noticed, the main trinity of the Matrix franchise were all killed off at the end of the last movie, but Carrie-Anne and Keanu Reeves are both reprising their roles. How can the filmmakers solve this one? Resurrection, of course. Another Reddit theorist, Sven Hutton, has speculated that Neo never actually brought Trinity back to life after her death in Matrix Reloaded. Instead, he just created a fantasy version out of the code she left behind. He mixed the real traces of her with his own image of what he wanted her to be, which is why she starts dressing like him and acting more like him. Apparently, everyone wants to date themselves after all. So if Neo could resurrect Trinity in this way, who's to say that someone else couldn't resurrect them both? What do you think of our Matrix theories? Are they the real deal, or do you think they're all just some tinfoil head babbling? What are your theories for the next Matrix? Please let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to The Binger for more.